Здравейте на всички, аз съм Хънтер и добре дошли в 151 епизод от поредицата ми на Pathfinder of the Righteous. Продължаваме откъдето бяхме стигнали. Това е, намираме се при този затворения портал. И сега ще се насочим. Мисля да се телепортираме всъщност към градчето, както казах. Мисля, че миналия епизод. Да направим един телепорт тук, да видим какво се случва в града. И след това може би да се насочим. Трябва да отидем и към пъзелите. Тук трябва да дойдем също. Тези неща трябва да ги посетим задължително. Trap for the other. Този страничен квест искам да мина. Също така трябва да победиме някоя от тези години тук. Тези видяхме, че много трудно може да ги победиме с армията, с която разполагаме. Така че мисля да се пробваме на ето тези. Защото предполагам, че по този начин ще можем да си отключим пъти към този квест. Тук Блейд Смита, какво ги пази? Тук са някакви страшно голяма бройка противници. Това форт. Нямам идея дали ще мога да го вземем. Аз не ги знам тия години какви са. Locust Swarm. Mind Affecting Poison. Аха, това са свормове. Добре. А те на това са имунни всъщност. Тя направят много демидж. Не са толкова страшни. Vescavor Swarm. Тук вече имаме проблем. Те имат Electricity и Fire Resistance. На доста кръв си имат много броени. Правят и много демидж. Ето тези трябва да ги щупим, за да можем да превземем форт. Добре, мисля обаче, че може да се получи. Да имам така някаква надежда. Да съответно, хващаме тази голямата армия тук. Казваме, че идваме насам. Естествено, хора няма да ни стигне. Но ние трябва да започнем да се придвижваме. Какво има? Аха. Тези подкрепления тук леки, които пристигат. Нека да се придвижат и те. Тук щяхме да правим някакви промени, само че още не се е случило апгрейда. Така че нека да се телепортираме към Дрезен. А всъщност тук да правя ли рест? Да направя ли рест? Добре, нека да си свършим работата първо на Streets of Dresden. Имаме да продадеме доста неща. Всичко заби. Но аз съм тук все още. Да не си помисля нещо. Чакам го да зареди. Както обикновено. Някой път става по-бавничко. Не знам защо. Айде, брат. Айде тук. Айде, че ни се цъка. Реши да сме на 100%. Това е много нечестно. Това бъв много ме кефи. Как са го издокарали като ефект, че някакъв такъв много е мощен. Много е мощен. Това бъв така не изглежда мощно. Не друго. Аз защо съм някакъв такъв с хейст нещо? Имаме Sword of Heaven, това ще си стои, ама да. Добре. Аз тръгвам да продавам, обаче Всъщност трябваше да погледнем първо какво ще ползваме и какво няма да ползваме. Нищо е да продадем тук някакви глупости. Това тонги няма кой да го използва. Иначе сигурно са добър артефакт, както го гледам. Някакви дагери сме взели. Алсион, Masterwork, Long Spear. О, това са тия яките оръжия. Short Sword и Dawnflower Kiss. Dawnflower Kiss не искам да го продаваме, защото е много така интересен меч, който може по някое време, ако решиме да си променим евентуално уменията пак и може да си го сложим и него. Тук имаме Howling Doom. Това що не може да се ползва? А защото е Exotic. Bastard Sword е Exotic Weapon. Това го бях забравил. Тук какво прави Greater Shout? Мисля. Айде ще го запазим. Не съм сигурен дали ще му намеря някакво приложение. Но понеже не съм сигурен, ще го запазим за сега. Пък не ни трябват парите от него за момента. Имаме доста, сега ще имаме още повече. Тук всичко като се продаде. Дагърче на плюс 4. Сега ще видим дали имах нужда от това дагърче на плюс 4. Така, някакви тъпи брони. Това е якия щит. Това е тъп щит. Така, ненужен щит. Chain Shirt на плюс 5. Full Plate. Имахме една много специална броня. Си спомням. Която взехме. Този щит не ни трябва. Full Plate на плюс 2. Ето тази. Granted Sweater Immunity Against Bombs. Това ще ни трябва като отидем при този мутасейфа на алхимичето на демоните. Дето ги предаде всъщност и си направи собствена армия. Иска той да завладее света вместо тях. Ама няма да му се получи естествено, защото ние ще го справим. Така. Тук има Брейсър с фарма на плюс 4. Никой не ги ползва тия неща. Вече. Тук има много на плюс 4. Това изчезва, това изчезва. Това изчезва. Тия неща не ми трябва тук. Mighty Constitution. 4 Constitution е малко. Dexterity. Имаме плюс 6 Dexterity. Charisma. Cloak of Cleansing е яко, но вече е твърде слабо, за да го пазиме толкова много. Тия неща така и не можах да реша какво да ги правим. Bracers of Armor на Bracers of Armor на плюс 5. Може и да намерим приложение. Така, Mighty Fists. Vast Intelligence. Сега ще видим дали това ще ни трябва. Имаме някакъв амулет всъщност. И няколко на плюс 3. Сега ще видим тяхното приложение какво ще бъде. Glowes Dead Dealer. Makes Sneak Attack and Deals Additional Damage. Competence Bonus Trickery. The wearer makes Sneak Attack and Deals Additional Damage. Чакайте бе, аз колко такива имам? Това са ръкавици и брейсъри. Тоест някой сник атакър може да стане много... Аз само между другото имам план. Добре. Тук 12 Competence Bonus Athletic и Mobility. This head bonus is worn by an animal companion also grants plus 3 bonus to AC against ranged attacks. Така, нека да вземем тия 40 000 първо. Пък после ще... мислим. Продаваме всички тук джънкове. Маля този път 7 бона от джънковете. Адското. Някакви Helm of Psionic Protection. Някакви яки неща. Така. Тук не съм сигурен, че мога да намерим нещо, което не трябва. Ето сега да видим как да разпределим артефактите. Така. Той е sneak атакър също. Какво сме му сложили на него? Плюс 3 bonus damage rolls off-hand when dual wielding two-handed melee weapon. Това не са ли по-яки брейсъри за него? Whenever the warrior confirms critical hit with two-handed weapon, the enemy must pass will saving throw or become unable to attack. Ние сме му сложили атака на него. Да видим. Компетенс бонус на трикари. Значи по-скоро не тия. А тука? Ето тук имаме sneak attack. Wearer плюс 4 бонус CMD against disarm. If the wearer has the weapon training and is wielding a weapon and gives bonus to that bonus increases plus 2. Той има ли weapon training? Study target. Weapon training трябваше да е някакъв талант по-скоро на файтерите, ако не се лъжа. Weapon training to weapon fighting. Но weapon focus, но няма weapon training. Да. Добре, значи ще му смениме точно тия неща. Инвентар, моля. Така. Какво беше? Gloves of Dueling. Няма да ни трябва. Ще сложим Gloves of Dead Dealer. И сега тука вече Competence bonus trigger. Wherever the wearer makes sneak attack, he deals additional damage. Gloves increase the save DC of all enchantment school spells the wearer casts. In addition, whenever the wearer affects an enemy with the spell for the first time, that enemy suffers minus the penalty will saving throws. Twisted Temptation нещо не е нашия weapon of choice, не са нашите ръкавици. Клас. Чакайте сега, че аз забравих какво търся. А дали имаме weapon training? Исках да видя. Ама и тук не си спомням да имаме. Имаме double, имаме accomplish sneak attacker, дрън, тъпляс. Critical dagger. Трябва да сме на дагерчета. Master strike. Той ще има сега много сериозни sneak attack неща. Аз трябва да му дигам и левела. 3 левела имаме да дигаме на лоджив. Добре, нямаме weapon training. Мисля. Invisible Thief. Sneak attack. Добре, тия неща са брутални. Не сме го надигали готвено. Добре, чакай се. Да се върнем към екипировката му обаче. Първо да видим ножките. Holy Dagger на плюс 3. Аз па нямам ножки ли, бе? Мога да му сложа този Short Sword. Nullifying Short Sword attacks a new enemy for the first time. Enemy must pass a will saving throw or become unable to cast spells. Айде. И си сложим тая ножка като offhand weapon. Опа, и вижте как готино застанаха нещата. Така, много ми харесва. Сега, ръкавиците. Тук какво имаме всъщност? 10 feet. In addition, where travels around, they are affected by the greater invisibility. Добре. Twisted Temptation. Те реално ни останаха брейсерите на нас всъщност. Ние ги имаме 2 пъти. Много интересно. Добре. Щом ги имаме 2 пъти, значи тези може би са за продаване. Така, тук трябва да имаме Intelligence много. 6, добре. Пръстените са магиоснически плюс Protection. Тук как сме? Тук имаме пръстени, нямаме Goggles. Имаме Natural Armor. Тук имаме Natural Armor. Тук и тук имаме Armor. Брей. Sneak Attack. То пък няма нужда. Ето ти Gloves of Dueling. Въобще ли нямам брейсъри, които да й дам. Тия ни вършат работа. Ама ще ги сложим се. Пак е така да има някакви. Нищо, че нищо не правят изобщо. Въобще никаква работа не ни вършат. Така. Плюс 3, ето ти Clock of Resistance. Тук Greater Invisibility. Добре. Тук има някакви странни неща. Харизма. Бам. Става по-яката шапка. Плюс 3 армор. Аз дали нямам някакъв по-як армор за него или? Кинетицист. Това трябваше да го продадем. Оп, пръстенче. Не съм сигурен дали имам някакви яки неща за него. Constitution много съм сложил. Cure Serious Wounds. 6 Constitution. А това какво е? Physical Perfection. Шест на Constitution. Не, ще му сложим... ще му сложим якия амулет. Нека да имаме някакво така да се пазиме. Нищо, че той не е на много кръв. Аз не съм му дигал, всъщност тук 5 лева има да дигаме. Мале. То ще падне дигане. 4 moral bonus against confusion and fear if the wearer fails. Ravager of Dread. А не мога ли просто да му сложа едно на Saving Throws и да не се занимаваме повече? Кинетик, Sturdy Snout. Това исках да го сложа на кончета. Ама май аз на кончета имах някакви много готини неща. Да, аз пък имам 4 на Strength и 2 AC за кончета. Нищо ще го сложим на другото конче тогава. Той пък е с шапката, където му дава 3 AC като цяло. А тази шапка 12 Athletics и Mobility. Статистиките са си важни. Добре, така. Така. Сега. Тук плюс 3. Аз вече имам плюс 4. Я да видим. Тук имаме добър резистанс. Тук сложихме яко нещо, си спомням. Тук имаме яки неща. Тук сме добре. Lone Wolf е задължително. Това е много силен. Use Magic Device. И Caster Level, като използваме Scroll. Плюс 4 задължително. Тук, да, Greater Invisibility ни трябваше. Cloak of Ancient Herald. Плюс 2 Persuasion. Така, къс 2. Spells with Compulsion Disruptor. They cast is increased by 2. Whenever the wearer of this cloak channels energy to harm, possible in 7 throw be dazed. Cloak of the Ancient Herald. Я да му сложим да имаме сейвове, защото сега вече сейвовете са много важни. Така, тук как сме? Това е новия клок. Добре, ние като цяло вече имаме доста сейвинг трос на абсолютно всички герои. Нека да видим сега обаче. Тук трябва да ни малко стрейн, защото иначе не мога да си носим бронята. Аз имам някакви интересни брони. Lore Master. Reflex Saving Throws. Като сме на по-малко от 50 кръв, аз не мисля да стоиме на по-малко кръв, защото е много рисковано и не ми се струва добра идея. Така, мисля, че сложихме всички амулети и всички неща. Добре, тук прилам с 3, той си има сел, има много армор клас. Няма нужда чак толкова много да му слагаме някакви яки неща. Или някакви ръкавици тук, по-скоро не. Той имаше Wisdom. Wisdom плюс 6. Perfect Strike. То обаче е за монка това нещо. Така или иначе. Пръстен е плюс 4. Да. Всъщност вече нямаме какво тук да слагаме толкова много. Това дагър на плюс 4 няма да го използвам. Добре, той сме. Така. Айде, че така или иначе ни отне вече доста време. Този Holy Dagger се тръгва. Дагърчето на плюс 4 изчезва. Брат, този Holy Dagger на плюс 3, що е толкова скъп. Струва 12 000. Така. Това беше изненадващо. Така. Light Shield. Аз Light Shield не мисля, че някой ще ползва. Какво прави това? Grand Sword плюс 2 inside bonus on attack and damage rolls against living enemies. Flash Terror. Light Shield. 2 Inside бонус на атака и Damage Rolls. Това са страхотни бонуси. Просто няма кой да го носи, така. Ancient Herald изчезва. Vast Intelligence няма да ни трябва. Bracers of Armor на плюс 5 ние си имаме вече. Dexterity ще го оставим за сега. Кинетицисти, резисти, пръстени. Това не мисля да го продаваме, това не ни трябва. Харизма. Екстра. Добре, събрахме много голд, мисля. Така. Айде сега да отиваме да видим какво става в замъка. Където всъщност не е нашата работа тук. Затова се върна. Мога да направим един рест. Аз между другото минах ли на някой компаньон страничен квест? Пък да не сме си говорили с него. Значи на тия двамата трябва да им извършим квестът. Ори Шейл се оправихме с нея. Оп, извинявайте. Ударих си микрофона. Надявам се да не се е чуло нещо гадно. Ембър. На Ембър извършихме страничния квест. Чакайте да видим какво става с нея. Да видим има ли нещо да си кажем с нея. Говорихме с Слеяра, с джуджавката в кръчмата. С асасина. Ето, че му забравих името. Как се каже? Грейбор. Говорихме с Грейбор в кръчмата, така че в обща линия остава да говорим само с Ембър. Да. Your kindness won the battle. Maybe it will help us win the entire war. If only the demon lords listen to me. If more people talk to them, pity them, ask them to come to their senses, and still some would rather die of their spite than reject it. I don't know if we can win with kindness alone, but I will try. I give you my word. What's going to happen to Nocticua now? It's up to her. She used to think she was free, but she was actually controlled by her sins. Now she's actually free and afraid. What will she choose? Maybe she will do evil again. Maybe she will leave the abyss. I don't know. Now everything is in her hands. Нямам търпение да разберем какво ще стане. So go. Добре, тръгваме. Така. Дали някъде може да се видим с The Inheritor, след като го пуснахме миналия епизод? Така, Chief Soul. Това ни даде задачка. Кой е тук? Тук има голямо... Капитан Одан, да, с него се знаем. Така. Сега тук трябва да имаме две срещи с съвета. Също единия съвет, който е по дипломацията и един по логистиката, ако не се върши. Сега ще видим. Gizmerha looks the same as before, but far more wary. After you interfered blind, Gizmerha, the wood sharper, became the new chief of the Winter Sun clan. Gizmerha. Тя е Gizmerha. Чакайте, бе, това да не е Blind. Да, Winter Sun. Това беше много в началото на играта. И тя там ни спомена, че може да има нещо нередно и там имаше един демон, който ги беше подвел. И те си мислеха, че е някакъв дух. И нещо такова беше. Който им помага. Както и да е, не си спомням много добре. Беше много отдавна в играта. So it is true, the commander has returned from the dead. We've heard all manner of rumors, but we did not know what to believe. So I came here myself to be sure it's true and not yet another trick of the demons. What's the news from Wintersun? I thought time would heal Wintersun, but it hasn't been easy. People gradually returned to their lives, but the mere sight of their homeland brought back memories of the atrocities. You forced Jerry Beth to destroy the malicious magic she had used to confuse the minds and souls of the people of Wintersun. Да, Jerry Beth беше тази демонката и ние всъщност я приключихме после в един... всъщност май тук в Дрезен, в замък. Точно я намерихме. This is why, when the demons returned, we didn't fight the way we should have. What will you do now? We will live in search for a better life. The place we called home all these centuries no longer accepts us. There are too many ghosts here, too many memories. Gizmerg sighs. I do not know where we'll go, but I'll pray to the spirits that the new place will accept us. Farewell. Farewell, Commander. May the spirits watch over you. I hope our paths will cross again someday. Това не го разбрах. Какво става тук? Тина, Scenery Master. Да. Сега ще гледаме шоуто. Commander, good day to you and all that. I'm Tina from the next door theater. Remember me? So here's the score. We finished rehearsing and are ready to stage the world premiere of our play about your exploits. Grandma sent me to invite you. We're ready to get started. So, will you come? Great, let's leave now. Изчакаха ни, сега ще трябва да се занимаваме с още много неща. Grandma Gretlin, the director. Grandma Gretlin's smile shines with pride and happiness. Her new ladle shines equally bright and she holds it like a scepter. Ladies and gentlemen, the day has come that every participant in the crusade has awaited with bated breath. The day when we, the Next Door Theater, finally present to you our newest production. Theater! Amber laughs melodiously and claps her hands. Greybor casts a long, thoughtful look at Amber. The elf's joy is reflected on the dwarf's stern face by a slight smile. The massive prop catapult behind Grandma creaks loudly and somewhat ominously in time with her words. At least you hope it's a prop. Today we return to the recent past, to one of the first victories won by the commander. Our show is dedicated to these grandiose, incredible, mind-blowing, exciting, large-scale, grand, and legendary events many of you probably witnessed firsthand. As the director and playwright, I feel humbled and honored too. Captivated by her own speech, Grandma brandishes her ladle with wild enthusiasm and accidentally touches, but only lightly, one of the catapult's levers. Okay. Кой падна? Какво стана? You hear a theatrically loud whisper from the ranks of the actors. Does anyone remember what we used to load that catapult? I have a better question. What did the projectile hit? I see something that resembles a plume of smoke in the place similar to the one where we left the crates our props are in. I put my cherry pie in a catapult bucket to have a secret snack during the performance, and now it flew away. The last sentence is followed by a loud sob. Stop panicking, the show must go on even if we are left without our costumes and props. If something does not go according to plan, improvise. Having whispered these instructions quite loudly to her crew, Grandma Gretlin gives a beaming smile to the audience. Nothing more than a few fireworks to celebrate our premiere. And now we shall begin. Hurrah for the premiere! Ще ги подкрепя, са няма да така. In the year found 1715. In the area near Dresden, a figure appears in front of the army awaiting his orders. It is their leader, Knight Commander Justin. It doesn't take too much attention to recognize the awkward figure of Rubeldom, the gnome standing on the shoulders of his twin brother, Harifant. Finally, the day has come. Rubeldom winces and mumbles, making no effort to be discreet. Harry, stop moving. I'm going to fall. You won't fall, comes a voice from the middle of the commander's torso. I've covered my shoulder pads with strong magic glue, so your boots should be securely attached. Go on with your speech, or we'll never get to the exciting part. Mine. You put glue on... What? Brother, we were supposed to change places during the performance, but how can I climb off your shoulders now? No problem whatsoever. You take off your boots, I take off shoulder pads, then we switch. Voila. Only, well, I can't take off my boots. My laces kept coming in tight, so I fixed them with that same glue. You know, just to be careful. Now you'll need a hacksaw and about an hour to get these boots off me. And we're in the middle of the show. I've only learned half the lines for this part. What are we going to do? Rubble them, improvise, invent something for the half of the part Harifont was supposed to play. Easy. I've always dreamed of becoming a playwright. Next up is the commander's inspiring speech before his army. The gnome thinks for a moment. My fellow crusaders, listen carefully. I'll give you a few tactical tips. Tip number 1. Get a running start so that you can jump really high. Tip number 2. If you jump really high, you will be able to ride any demon flying over you. Tip number 3. If you can't ride a demon, it means there are no flying demons above you, and that means they have already been defeated. Well, either that or you are trying to jump indoors and hit your head on the ceiling. You're the one talking nonsense, and yet somehow I'm the one who feels ashamed. We're twins, dummy. Our reputation is shared because when one of us talks nonsense, observers can't tell which of us is doing it, so they blame both of us. Then, with his army properly inspired, the commander explained the details of his grand strategic plan. As we all know, the commander planned to disperse the enemy's legions by charging them on the back of a huge, formidable mountain goat. Grandma pauses and glances askance at the quite ordinary pony standing near the edge of the stage, a huge but miniature mountain goat of a rare pony-like breed. Are we completely sure Pretzel is up to the task? I haven't been to any of his rehearsals, but he definitely doesn't look like he's ready to ride down demonic legions. Ride down, cousin. To ride down demonic legions. Not to worry, our esteemed sound master is backstage and will lure Pretzel with a carrot. Our pony can move as fast as a hurricane for a carrot. He would charge a Balor if any Balor were foolish enough to stand between Pretzel and his carrot. It seems to me that something has gone wrong. Do you know how many ponies I had to audition for this role? An entire herd. This was the only one that was any good. He did this trick perfectly during the rehearsals. I don't know why he decided to dig in his heels now. Oh, Pretzel, how you've let me down. And now that all of you have witnessed the most spectacular, dramatic and impressive culmination of our play, let us return to reality for a moment to welcome the person whom are all gathered here to celebrate, the Commander. After all, this was one of his earliest adventures. So, what do you say, Commander? Did you like our show? Not bad, but there's room for improvement. Of course, sure. A mysterious smile appears on Grandma Gretlin's face. Believe it or not, Commander, but every true comedian knows their calling is to provoke laughter and smiles, not necessarily on stage. And it need not be a successful, professional and perfectly organized performance. Sometimes our art exceeds the limitations of the stage. And now, unfortunately, the time has come to say goodbye. We were with you almost from the first day, but now the show is over, and the next door theater troupe has other places to be and other places to perform. Супер! Така, щом беше това от тях. Аз не си спомням те къде им беше групата. За да отидем да ги видим сега след представлението. Бяхме ги намерили някъде, си спомням, ама нямам никаква идея къде бях. Някъде отсам ми се върти в главата. Може би тук. Ама не съм сигурен. Нямам идея. Така че няма да ги търсим за сега. Така, време за съвета. Captain Hartman, Commander, glad to see you back with us. Captain Hartman has barely changed since your last meeting, but his glare is now even heavier than before and his arms and face bear new scars. You arrived just in time. There is unrest within your forces once again. Unfortunately, once you returned, so did the wary. They're turning the soldiers against you. I'm afraid we're dealing with an open mutiny. Чакай, бе! Аз не се оправих с тия. Нищо. They're agitating for the army to abandon Dresden and march to east to Her Majesty's aid. If we don't stop them, the outcome may be disastrous. Let's meet with the wary. I don't believe it will be hard to convince them that their plan is pure madness. We'll gather loyal officers and send them to speak with the soldiers, unarmed and with an open heart. We'll convince them to turn their backs on those madmen and their mutiny. Mutinies must be suppressed with absolute severity. We surround all units engaged in the revolt and we arrest and hang the agitators publicly. Behind every rebellious leader is a very angry second-in-command who dreams of promotion. We'll just hint at the fastest way to get it and the mutiny will fade away by itself, with the added benefit of refreshing our staff. If the warriors are so loyal to the queen, why didn't they leave with her instead of remaining in Dresden? I couldn't say, Commander. I believe we should talk to them and find out their reasoning and their plan of action. I do agree that this all looks very suspicious. You also have a great deal of respect for King Godfrey, don't you? I'm a soldier. It's my duty to respect my superiors. I hold you in high esteem as well. You catch nervous trembling in Hartman's voice, partially masked by his calm and relaxed tone. Значи той всъщност няма да ни даде най-добрия съвет. Let's discuss our options in further detail. As you command. Seal, what's your plan? Even if there are any doubts before, it's perfectly clear now. The soldiers are not to blame for anything. They are being provoked by dishonorable officers. It will be a crime to turn our loyal troops against them. We, those who give them orders, must convince them not with blades, but with words. We will appeal to their conscience and make them abandon this madness to matter what the inciters in their command are saying. Approaching the mutineers unarmed will be the definition of madness. I'm not even going to discuss this plan of yours. Reggie, what do you suggest? Revolts should be nipped in the bud. We'll surround the mutinous detachments, then publicly execute the wary and all those convicted of instigation. If seditious tendencies persist, we do it again. It's the only way to ensure the troops' loyalty. A fair point. The demons are struggling to exterminate our forces. Let's do them a favor and slaughter our soldiers ourselves. Darren, your opinion, please. Behind the back of every disgruntled officer is a whole queue of aspirants eager to take their place. To get rid of the ringleaders of the wary, we won't even have to hire assassins. The promise of a promotion and a pay raise is all it will take for any second in command to do their duty, be it by a dagger or a drop of poison. They'll make good officers, feared by allies and enemies alike. I know that the word honor means nothing to you, but this idea is horrible even from the most cynical perspective. What's the point of ridding ourselves of schemers and traitors if we are only going to replace them with other schemers and traitors, murderers to boot? Captain Hartman, what would you advise? I think their talks of a self-directed march are a bluff. Only lunatics would follow such a suicidal plan. We need to talk to the wary and ask them what they really want. Don't parley with mutineers. I'm pretty sure that we all know what they want. The same thing as everybody else, power and money. We'll just be playing into the hands of the wary if we sit down and talk with them as equals. Thank you. Everything is clear. Сега да видим какво печелим от цялата работа. Сила ни дава, всички получават генерали, charismatic feat. At the start of battle, units gain plus 15 bonus to combat morale. Това е яко. Decimation feat. Plus 3 to combat morale when damaged. Bloodthirsty officers. Start of battle, all enemy units suffer minus penalty to combat morale. Това е яко. Bloodthirsty officers ми харесва като бонус. Crusade morale increase. Crusade morale reduces by 20. Reduces. О, не. I'll do this my way. We'll surround their forces, cut off their supply routes, and maintain the blockade until they give in. Test of strength. All units gain a +1 bonus to combat morale each turn. Test of strength. All units gain +1 bonus to combat morale. Сега, Charismatic ни дава +15 бонус морал. Intimidating Officer сваля на противниците. Значи това, което сваля на противниците, най-ми харесва като бонус. Обаче не искам да действам с подкупи и неща. Така че ще послушаме сила. I'm sure that none of our officers will refuse to address the army. May the goddess help us bring those poor souls to their senses. I'll keep you up to date on how things unfold. As soon as there are any developments, I'll reconvene the council. Alrighty then. Lady Konomi също дойде, значи ще имаме дипломатическа среща. Lady Konomi's voice is brimming with satisfaction. Commander, I bring wonderful news. We are getting reports from all regions of Mendev that the nationwide political crisis has been resolved. Ooh. Many rulers in Avestan answered your call and sent their trusted servants to root out. Many rulers in Avestan answered your call and sent their trusted servants. Аха, това от предишния път. To root out the chaos that had engulfed Mendev and to ensure that their neighbors didn't carve themselves a piece of our country. I believe it's fair to say that at this moment, Commander, your word carries the greatest weight in Mendev's politics. You could use this influence to accomplish something monumental. For example, you could organize a total military mobilization across the kingdom. What will you do with your newfound power? We need to remind Mendevians that the gods care for us. They gave us the strength and the wisdom to save the kingdom. Let the people go to the temples, praise them, make donations and pray. In dark times we need all the faith we can muster. In many lands the temples collect tithes. I have a fresh new idea. Why don't we turn this around and tax the temples? We'll call it the tax of the righteous. And tell them that the more pious the temple and its congregation, the more coin will be collected. We'll just have to see what wins, fate or greed. Someone must take care of Mendev. The old mayor won't survive another wild ride like that. Maybe we should hold elections for the members of the Royal Council. Finally let those who are worthy run the country, no matter their social class or wealth. Това ми харесва. Equal rights for tieflings. Wojcik hands on hips stares boldly at those around him. It's time to stop the oppression of our noble people by Mendevian society. Tales are no reason for persecution. И това е полезно. As you wish, Commander, your advisors have proven their diplomatic and political acumen. Socio, Mendevians have honored the gods before, haven't they? Was it not enough? It was enough, which is why the gods did not let Mendev fall. But when adversity passes, people breathe a sigh of relief and then they leave the temples. It's just how it always goes. However, even though the crisis in Mendev is behind us, our war rages on. We need to remind everyone that the most terrible evil hasn't been defeated, and to unite them around spiritual power instead of worldly atrocities as before. Are you sure there is no one in Mendev more in need of respect than the gods? No one at all? Or are the gods like the most downtrodden bunch? Is that why you worry about him so much? Darren, is this really the time for new taxes? Temple taxes no less? Normally, you could never get away with something like that, but now, with the end of the crusade in sight, no one will want to defy you. So we'll kill two birds with one stone, find a new source of funding that we desperately need, and have a grand old time watching the priests bring torn between the urge to appear holier than everyone else and the desire to pay less. You're like a child. For the sake of joke, find humorous you are advising the commander to go against fate, the only solace people have left in this war-ravaged land. No matter how much money we get from Mendev, we'll have to spend it all on personal guards, or the crowd will promptly gang us. And the tallest branch will go to Count Arenday in recognition of his irrefutable wisdom. Lan, what was that about an election? Right now Mendev is a smoldering ruin, a realm of devastation whose only riches are patriotism and corpses. We need to save it before it's too late, and we should start with those in charge. We've had enough haughty bureaucrats lining their pockets, and nobles believing themselves superior to others because of their lineage. It would be nice if the royal council was composed of those who deserve it, with no regard to family trees, connections, and purse size. The mongrels chose the smartest, bravest, most experienced one among them as their chief. Maybe the Uplanders could learn this trick, or are they too civilized for it? A spark of worry flashes in Lady Konami's eyes. It is good time for reforms of such magnitude. Is this a good time for reforms of such magnitude? There has been enough disturbance in Mendev already. Wojif, explain your point about tieflings and their rights. Wojif's speech is loud and surprisingly fluent, as if he has rehearsed it many times. We all know about the rampant oppression of tieflings in Mendev. It's like we're demons here. We get no freedom and no respect, only humiliation wallops. Gotta lock horns with the horned ones, am I right? And what about rights? Oh, we have got those. The right to pay taxes and the right to serve in the army. Is that fair? No. Should you feel ashamed? Hell yes. And if folks treated you nicely, you think we wouldn't show our gratitude? We are not just thieves, you know. We are merchants, guards, lawyers, I mean clerics, paladins, mages. And if and if Mendev followed their conscience, you think we tieflings wouldn't repay you for your kindness? Well, we would repay there, I said. Wojif even thumbs his chest in excitement. In the ensuing silence, it feels like Darren's whisper can be heard by everyone in Dresden. Someone please tell him that tieflings already have all the rights of Mendevian subjects. Or don't actually, it's funnier this way. No, don't you go making a sucker out of me, alright? You think we don't understand that it's one thing to have these rights on a paper that anyone can wipe their bottom with, but to have them for real, that's a whole different story. I would guess that people have no love for you and your tiefling pals, not because of your race, but because you're thieves and crooks to the bone. But don't mind me. Who am I to talk? Just some one-horned half-lizard who doesn't know what it's like to be judged on your ancestry. Lady Konami, is there anyone left in Mendev who could be mobilized? There is, rest assured. If everyone was here already, Mendev would have died of famine. But I'm not just talking about people. There are horses that could be commandeered for the needs of the army, tools that could be reforged into weapons, apothecary stocks, services provided by craftsmen, builders, spellcasters. Many can serve the army, and in many ways, not necessarily by enlisting. We took their sons and daughters, took their gold, took their bread, now we're taking their horses. I think we should also take their sticks and rocks, or they'll beat us to death with them soon enough. I'm ready to make a decision. Всъщност не съм, сега ще видим първо какво получаваме от нашето решение. All generals have learned the Judgment Day. Judgment Day evocation spell like. Deals d6 full power damage, magic damage to all enemy units, restores d6 power HP to all units in the army. This is divine spell. Това е някакво много силно. Glorification of the gods. Добре, tax the righteous decree. The cost of building construction reduces 50%. Not bad. Тук какво беше? Чак, аз нищо не направих. Дипломаси 10 магически ресурсчета. 10 руни или с какво се водех. Lan. Elections of the Royal Council decree. The cost of recruiting mercenary units are reduced by 10%. That's nice. Значи супер яката магия, Judgment Day, която прави така, че правиме доста демидж на абсолютно всички противници и си връщаме в същия момент кръв на нашите войници. Това не съм сигурен колко точно ще ни е полезно, често казвам. Да правим демидж на всичките противници сигурно са много яко обаче. А вече да си връщаме кръв от тази магия не съм много сигурен, че е най-подходящото нещо. 10% по-малко за мърсенари да плащаме. Това е много, всъщност. Това е доста добър процент. Добре, Лоджив. Tiefling Rights. Recruitment growth for mythic units increases by... Как така mythic units? Recruitment growth for mythic units increases by 15%. Energy points income increases by 5%. Recruitment growth for mythic units. 15%. Какво ще рече mythic units? Това са ни най-яките юнити, така ли? И това е яко за тифлингите. Mobilization decree. The cost of recruiting trainable units reduces by 10%. Не, това не е толкова важно. Мърсенарите са повече. И ние можем да купуваме много мърсенари. Мисля да послушаме LAN и да направим тези elections to the Royal Council. Това е най-скъпото нещо, което мога да направим, но е най-доброто. LAN will hold elections for the members of the Royal Council. Maybe at least this time we'll get folks who are actually competent and we can finally take it easy and fight some demons. Sorry, I'm daydreaming. Lady Konami bows respectfully. When first we met, I allowed my eyes to deceive me. I failed to discern within you an outstanding politician. You knew nothing of diplomacy. You were unaware of the power structure in Erosian and beyond, but you were driven by your uncanny intuition and with it, you have saved Mendef and strengthened our ties with foreign allies. You have my respect. I wasn't a diplomat before this war, and I haven't become one now, but I think I'm beginning to understand politicians and their actions better. And I'm convinced that the key is never to forsake your conscience. I don't think we have. I must admit, these council meetings weren't the worst moments of my life. They were almost entertaining. It seems you have the ability to make everything more interesting. Be it waging war or hosting ambassadors. And I, like a true son of Mendef, even took part in deciding its fate. We shall see if prosperity will curse us for it or sing our praises. I can't imagine ever becoming a proper diplomat. All this political skullduggery makes my hand reach for my bow. I was this close to going down in history as Landa's soothing ambassador, but I'm impressed with how slick you were at dealing with intrigues and weaving a web of your own. Looks like politics isn't such a big deal after all. It's just like the gangs on the streets, apart from the cussing. Maybe I should be a diplomat after the war. It has been an honor and pleasure to advise you, Commander. However, I don't think you will need my counsel from here on out. Mendef stands strong. Our allies are loyal and reliable. The diplomatic council has served its purpose. You don't need it any longer. Интересно. Приключихме с дипломацията. Странна работа. Окей, аз съм за. Сега, трябва да направим арест. Първо искам да видим какви affairs можем да менеджираме. Тук някакви неща. She shrugs with less. I'll be happy too, but there's kind of nothing to tell. What's so interesting about me? Тук трябва да внимаваме. Аз нали сейвнах всъщност. Момент. Искам да видя сейвнах ли. Не съм сейвнал. Сега ще сейвнал. Или сейвнах. Да, аз сейвнах. Забравям. Не мога помня 2 минути. Така. Can you tell me now what medicine your bed got for you by pounding her sword? Shit, no! Load. Трябва да видим какво е това. За 8 точки, значи. От царче 20 фърлихме по-малко от 8. Трябва да фърлиме 8. Не е 20. Е така. Поне така някакво 10, 9 нещо. 50% искам да фърлим. Да видим сега колко ще ни кара да се лодваме в този момент. Айме да проверим и какво се случва в крайна сметка сега, след като минаха тези дипломатически неща. Така. Oh yeah. Still gnawing on that bone, huh? Well, fine, I'll tell you. Anivia's sighs. Here's the thing. My mother didn't have a daughter. She had a son, who she hid from her enemies in the temple of Desna. They gave me a new name and dressed me as a girl so no one would find out. And it turned out that after years of living in that temple, I realized something. Those clothes and that new name suited me down to the ground. I never thought of myself as a man in all that time. When I left the temple, I lived as a woman. Not exactly hard, seeing how I was traveling alone. Then I met Irbeth. You can't imagine how terrified I was of telling her the truth, but she understood and accepted me. And she even pawned her family heirloom to help me. The medicine she got for me, the thing she pawned her sword for, was an elixir to change my physical gender. That's it. That's the story. Okay. Why do you keep it a secret? Because it's nobody else's business. You know the truth now. Has it changed anything? So I used to be a man. No, I've always been me. I just needed time to understand that, and the help of my beloved to transform my body to the way it was always meant to be. What was your name before? Don't even ask. That name has meant nothing to me for years. It just sounds. There's probably nobody left alive who knew that person. I'm Anivia Tirbate. That's all there is to it. I'm glad everything worked out for you. Thanks, Anivia smiles. It's all down to Irbeth. I don't know how I would survive without her. Truth is, I wouldn't have. Добре. Разбрахме. Така, Реджил нещо ново от те, приятели. How are you doing without your squad or your rank of paralictor? Reggio shrugs his shoulders. It has given me little cause for emotion. I am a competent leader, but for me, leadership has never been an end in itself. Any position that allows me to effectively achieve my goals would suffice. As your companion and subordinate, I am no less capable of contributing to the fight against the world wound than I would be as an officer of a chapter. Добре. И ребят, нещо ново, нищо ново. Така, сейф. Аз тук си искам бих всички кселове, ама няма да се притесняваме. Така. Време е да сейвнем. Да сейвнем. Глупости говоря. Време е да видим какво става с кралството. С Крузейда. Да сейвнем. Само сейвам аз. Големи сейвове падат. Така. Тук в общи линии трябва да чакаме неща да се случат. И няма друго какво да се прави. Добре, това не е лошо. Има материали, имаме energy pointi. Дипломасито. Аха, значи вижте, трябва да се дигнем другите статистики на 8. 8 е макс. Значи тук имаме 5 на logistics, който ще се дигне скоро. И 5 на military. Милитарите, когато дойде време за пазаруване на войници, вероятно ще успеем да го дигнем на 6. И тук имаме 7 и 8, трябва да се дигне leadership. Leadership даже не знам как се дига. Start represents authority of the Night Commander over the Crusaders they win to obey his orders without question. Това какво означава? Не е ясно. Logistics. Start reflects the quality of the Crusade supplies. Това тук са сградите. И милитари са войниците. Добре, имаме да дигаме доста статистики, бих казал. Обаче не ми се струва, че имаме толкова много време да го правим това. Но ще видим. Така. Да. Сега трябва да направим рест в общи линии и да се запътваме към следващото ни приключение. Обаче то ще включва двама нови компаньони. Така че мисля тук да сложим край на този епизод и да направим левел ъп епизод. Защото аз трябва да им надигам левелите на тия двамата компаньоните. Даже всъщност сега ще са трима. Защото ние ще сменим Ори Шейл с Лан. Ще сменим как се казваш? Ще вземе Лоджив със сигурност. Ще вземе Каунт Дайрон Орендейл и Лан. Тези тримата ще ги вземем. Защото тези двамата имат персонална мисия, която трябва да минем, преди да продължим с главните мисии. Така че направим левел епизод за тях и направо тръгваме към квеста за Count R&A, където ще се биеме с този Адър или там какъвто е. И така, затова тук слагаме края на този епизод и аз ви благодаря, че гледахте. Надявам се да ви е било забавно. Желая всичко хубаво и чао-чао!